Alright, just got back from the shop today and got a Season 1 upper console here for Vic. Sorry man, it's taking so long to get this out. I just got to trim the edge off and then install your electronics. There was a little bit of fitment issue on this upper console, so what I did was I glassed all the way up farther than this line was, because this was made by Rick Kyrad in UK, and he gave me permission to copy it. It was a trade deal that we had, and I did the same thing over here because he actually made this to fit his, and you can see I got some filler work to do right there, but his actually was made to fit his upper console fiberglass piece, so it doesn't quite fit mine or the stock ones too good. I know other people had problems with this fitting, so what I did was I glassed it all the way up past where the original marking was, and I'm gonna go take my upper console and I'll cut this straight here, and then I'll go and make a new cut where it should be. That way this thing fits a little better, because I know these didn't fit anybody's headliners other than their particular one that they molded. So it's a good thing to do if you want somebody to actually have to buy your headliner, your T-top headliner. But yeah, I'll get this thing fixed in the next day or so, and came out pretty good. I mean, a couple little imperfections here and there, but I'll fix them up. And yeah, I'll get this taken care of, and I'll do a video on how to install electronics too. And this pod, I had made this pod, and I still got to trim it out and pop it. I actually didn't have tools at the shop to take this stupid nut off, so I brought it home to pop it out here, but I was able to pop this one at the shop. I think that's about it. I know I'm a little bit behind on orders, but I'm going to be getting everything shipped out to everyone that's ordered parts. I know I owe about 10 items to people. I think that's what I got, about 10 parts, and the last 2 weeks I gotten about four orders for bumpers, probably tax returns that people are getting, so they're starting to buy bumpers again. So I'll get those out fairly shortly, guys. Going through a lot of stuff right now, but I'm not forgetting about my customers. I just want you guys to know. Alright, so I'm working on this headliner. It's fitting alright. If I push down on it right here, if you got a screw in here, you can see that it doesn't have too much gap. See that? That's about as much gap you need for the headliner material to fill in. Okay. And I'd recommend putting some screws here into the headliner. I prefer fiberglass headliners because you could screw into the fiberglass headliner itself, but if you're using a stock headliner, you have to kind of go into the metal of the car to mount these. But see, if I push down on it, nice and flush there. So it is a really tight fit. I really had to push this on here. Okay. So, and this is a headliner I made out of fiberglass. It was actually the first mold I made, and I'm test fitting it on. See, if you don't bolt it here, it's going to have a little bit of a gap. So what I do is make sure there's a bolt right there. And again, you're going to have a little bit of a gap for the material. If you put your foam material on, this should fill in, but I'll double check on my other headliner real quick right now. Alright, so here's my headliner, fiberglass headliner from my car. And it looks like this thing is fitting real nice. You can see. And I didn't even push down. This is just sitting on here, so this has to be pushed down. I just don't want to do it because it's real tight and it's going to rub on my headliner material here. See, it's just sitting on it. When you get this, you want to give it a nice push And yeah, it looks like it's gonna fit good. So I just wanted to make sure before I start to do body work, make sure this thing's trimmed out the way I want it. Alright, so I got brand new switches to install. Okay. And I'll be I will be custom installing these one by one without a template. And we got this board here that goes there, and we got that one, and we got a custom eject board here, and got to find a place for this one. Looks like it would go good right here. That'd be a good spot for it. Okay. And that one right there. Alright, so I think I'm going to be installing it right about in the middle, right where you see it right there, for those buttons. Okay. That'll be so after looking at screenshots, it looks about a ½ inch to an inch away from the edge. So that's what I'll do, about an inch. But you know, who's to tell what it really is, because you can't really measure it. So I'm going to do about an inch away from the edge, and that's where I'll start the switches, because that's what it looks like to me from the screenshots that I got. Alright, so the width is about 4½ inches wide from the base. Okay, and it's about inch 2/8 or 2/16. Yeah, about an inch and 2/16 widthwise. So I'll go and cut that out. You can see I already started marking where I need to cut. So now I just need to measure 4½ inches and then cut out my hole. You can cut these out individually, one by one, but you can see it's not very much of a gap, so it's really not worth it. It's best just to cut out a big hole for these, because those skinny little pieces will be too brittle. Alright, I did what I could with the cutoff wheel. This wheel here, just ran across on both top and bottom. Did a little bit on this in the middle here. Now I'll use one of these sanding bits. Actually, not this one. I'll use a different one. I'll use this one right here, and I'll get in there in the places I can't reach. And what you want to do is take your little. You can use even a drill bit, a drill with the bit on it. But what you want to do is go in each corner, drill the corners. That way, this centerpiece will break off just like that. Okay. And once that centerpiece is broken off, okay, there it goes. You can see how thick that is. Alright, toss that in the garbage. And then what we're going to do is get a little file in here and just work those corners. This is the file I used. Okay, it's a typical file you can get any hardware store. Just want to get those edges real nice, and then go and take your switch and make sure you, wham, first try it. It's a little bit tight, so let me see, hold up. Okay, so this has little clips on it. You see the clips sticking out? So I have mine exactly perfect, but those clips, because they're sticking out right there, see that? 2 clips. That takes up a little bit, you're talking like a millimeter of space there. So I gotta just Dremel this out just a little bit so it's not so tight. But as you can see, my measurement's pretty dead on. But I just gotta chisel it out a little bit more because of that. Alright, so I got 4 of them in, almost all the way in. I'm not pushing all the way down because they're going to be hard to get out, but you could see right here, the last one I need to chisel out, shave off just a little bit more because it's not quite there. Probably looking at maybe 1 millimeter or 2. So, alright, I had to go about probably 3 millimeters over, maybe 4. So I use this again on the edge, and then again filed it out. Now it's perfect. Nice tight fit, don't need any screws, nothing. You can flip it upside down, move it around, it ain't gonna fall out. Okay, that's why you got to be precise on your cutout. Make sure it's nice and good, and those have clips in them that hold those in as well, so not going nowhere. That's one part down. That's probably taking me, I've been timing it, there's 15 minutes on here, and I started about 20 minutes before that, so 35 to 40 minutes to do this. But I'm not a novice, guys, so yeah, about a half hour to do this part. Okay, now move on to the next parts. I'll probably do this one next, the piece that goes right here. Alright, I'm going to mount this board next, guys. And from screenshots, from what it looks to me, it looks about like, again, it looks about like 1/2 inch from the bottom, so about right there. And you know, I'm not exactly sure if it's over here or more over here, so I'm going to go look on the screenshots and see if I can figure that out real quick for this guy. I'm sure he probably won't care, but I'll have a go look. After looking at the screen grabs on my computer, there's not very many of them. It definitely was pretty low on here. It wasn't too high. It was definitely on the lower side. But you do need space to mount these, so I'm going to put it up about maybe 1/2 inch up. Kind of about right there. And the width, I mean, this, I can't really tell where it was. So, I mean, I'm going to just push it kind of about 1 inch or so from that edge there. Kind of about right there, looks good. And make sure the templates, you know, they're going to fit on there without having to cut them. And, yeah. I'll just point out, this board is from ID Geniali, okay, and in the show it was cut here, down in the middle. This one's not, but it does make it a little bit easier to install when it's one. Alright, so what I did is I use this as a template. Since this is the template, I use it as a template to put my markings of where I want to cut this. You can see where I kind of did it in pencil right there. So doesn't have to be perfect, because you got to remember you got the template over there, over this covering it. So, but you just got to make sure, you know, you get it a little bit bigger than what you got. So what I'm going to probably do is these 3 pieces here. I'll cut one big hole here, one hole here, and I'll leave the middle piece, and then cut out some notches for this side as well. All right, this is what I did. Cut out 2 holes here and a little section over here as well. Use the tape just to guide me. Okay, just like that. And then I'll take my chisel, or my file, not chisel, sorry, and I'll file the edges down so it's nice. Okay. And we'll see. I haven't test fitted it. Let's check it out real quick. See if it fits in there. So no, not quite yet. It's close, but it needs to get up a little bigger. Alright, just got finished that up. That's taken me quite a bit, about a half hour to do or so, because I kept having to trim it a little bit more and more. But I think I got it. So I can fit this in here now. And it's nice and snug. There you go. Okay. I don't think this is going to stay there, so I can't really show you what it looks like with the template on. Maybe I can put the camera like this. There we go. Okay. A little bit of a gap. If I push it down flush, then the electronics need to come out a little bit. Let's try this again. Alright, so a little bit of a gap here, just a tiny bit of a gap. If I push down, there we go, and the gap's gone. But it looks pretty good. It's nice and straight. See if I can get it with the camera shot. Okay, nice and straight there. So now we got to figure out how to mount that. Okay. I bought some standoffs. Some guys online were telling me standoffs were good. I've never really used these. So I thought I'd give it a try. And that's what they look like. That's going to take me some time to mount in there. Alright, for the install, this is what I'm going to do. Slide them in, put some foil tape in there to hold it down. Turn this over. Okay. And I got some really nice M3 6mm screws. Check these out. These look real nice. Okay. Kind of look like the lower console on the stock Firebird. So that's what I'm using. They're Allen heads. And what I'll do now is hopefully this stays in there with the tape. Make sure it's lined up though. This one don't look lined up. Come on. There we go. Make sure it's all the way in there. Just like that. And I'm going to take this, put it up on there like this. Now this is going to have, it's going to be sticking up because those boards are not mounted back yet with the standoffs that I'm going to be using. We'll do that later. For now it's going to be right there. It's just kind of hold it in place. And next, what I'm going to do is take a drill bit, okay? Take a drill bit and we're going to drill these corners. 1, 2, 3, 4. You could put 2 in the middle too if you want, but for now I'm going to do the border 4, and then I'm going to screw these here in the corners, okay? And that'll be how the template mounts, because I'm not going to glue this thing there. That's stupid if you glue it there. You want to have it screwed in so it doesn't move around. And then later, once we got that in there, we'll be able to mount these electronic boards from the back side. So it is kind of a pain in the butt. I'm going to tell you right now, this is a pain in my butt. And I don't normally do this, but because of YouTube purposes and teaching you how to do it, I offer to do it. But yeah, I don't normally do this service, guys. And you can see my timer's already gone out for 1 hour service. I told the guy I would only charge him so much per hour, so I got to keep an eye on how long it's taking me to do this. Okay, alright, putting the screw into a gauge, it's 1/8 exactly, nice and loose, not too tight. 1/8. That's what you want to drill your holes, and be careful because you don't want to hit your electronics. So make sure you do it far enough out on the corner. And that's what I'm going to do, is drill 4 holes right now. Okay, now I got the holes drilled out, 2 on each side. Again, you could put 2 in the middle. You could even put 4 in the middle if you want to. But for now, that's all I'm going to do, is just 2 on the borders to keep it clean. Later, if Vic wants me too. I could do it, or he could do it himself. I'll include a couple extra, 4 extra if he wants. Next, what you want to do is go down a size. Go from 1/8 to 7/64, or maybe even 3/32. I'm going to go to 7/64 because when we thread these on, these are fine thread. You want it to catch into the fiberglass. I think 7/64 will be fine. So I'm going to drill now through the fiberglass all the way through so we can put these little screws in to hold that in place. Okay, before I drill the holes for this template through the fiberglass, I want to go and put the standoffs on this first, because if I put the template on, this might move out of place. So I really want to mount this first. So what I'm going to do is show you how I'm going to do it. Get the standoff. I got some little standoffs here. The ones I'm using is probably M3 or I think it's M36. These small ones right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one on the back side, and then you're going to take the plastic screw and screw these in from the front side. And I'm going to do that to all of these, at least on the borders. I might not need to do the middle ones, but you can do all of them. We'll see in a second. And then I'm going to fit this up on there and make sure. Alright, so that's the M6 standoff. It's almost flush with that electronic LEDs, as you can see there. See that? A little bit shorter, but it's okay. I can back them off if I need to. I can loosen them up and they'll come out farther. Okay, and then put the plastics in, plastic screws in. Okay, I just did 4. And now I'm going to set this back in there and make sure it sits flush. Okay, that seems good. And then I'm going to hold it down with some foil tape again. Just like that. Apply pressure. I want to make sure that's nice and pushed down. Because when I glue that to the fiberglass with epoxy, those standoffs, they're not gonna move. They're gonna stay there. So I'm just checking right now, make sure that the standoffs are gonna look okay. Okay, I'm gonna move it around a little bit, get them fit. Okay, so what I can see now is it's nice and flush on this side, but this side's pushed in over here. Okay, so that means the standoff is a little too long on that one corner, this corner over here. So I probably need to get a shorter one or cut it, because I don't think I have any shorter. Actually, that's kind of that's not really one. You got these type of standoffs too that you could put a little nut on. Either will work. So yeah, it's kind of pushed down, but let me see with the template. It might not even matter. So with the template on, yeah, see, it's not really going to matter that it's a little bit pushed down, because you're going to have the filter on that anyway, which is in here. This really is some time-consuming crap. No wonder why nobody's ever done any how-to videos on it, because it's just one of those things, guys, that takes a little time. Okay, so this is going to go here, so it's not going to matter that it's pushed in a little bit. Okay, it's not going to matter, because this is going to go right here. And actually this has to be epoxied before I can mount it onto this thing in the back. So I got to epoxy that on there too. But that's how it's going to go, just like that. And again, this is some tedious work, guys. It's one of those jobs that you got to have patience with. So I got to go epoxy this to that, and epoxy these standoffs. So if your standoff is too long, you can take a cutoff wheel, turn it on, and buzz some of it off. I had to do it on this one because it wasn't sticking out enough and it was just bothering me. So again, it's not a big deal, but helps a little bit. So it's a little more flush there. It's not pushed in as much as it was. But again, there's a piece on there that covers that, so you're not even going to see if it's pushed out or pushed in. Another thing is, once you epoxy these in place, make sure these screws aren't tight, because you want to unbolt these to primer it and paint this. So don't tighten them too much. Also, guys, make sure you use all the standoffs. I was just using the outside ones, and when you use the outside ones, it's going to make the middle poke out farther, and then the template will not sit right. So make sure you put standoffs on all of the connectors here. So actually, this thing fits really nice. Once you put all the standoffs on there, I'll show you guys right now. It's a really nice fit. Okay, see how flush that is? It's pretty flush. Okay, so alright, so what I did is I took some epoxy. It's a marine, well, plastic epoxy actually, and it says it works for fiberglass. There's all kinds of different epoxies you can use, but that one's by Loctite. And what I did is I just put it on those standoffs, and I had to put some tape here to keep the pressure on because I don't want it to come undone. And I'll let this dry overnight, and I'll take a break on this, and hopefully tomorrow those standoffs will be still in place. If I have to put a little more epoxy, I'll unscrew these tomorrow, and then if any of them look loose, I'll go ahead and put some more epoxy, or I'll put some quick steel. This stuff might work too. So that's it for now. Got those in, these in. Okay, so next I'll screw this in. This is got epoxy on it too. You can see the epoxy that I put, okay, to hold that in place. So I'll let that dry too overnight. But that's it for now. I'll get to work on this again tomorrow. Hopefully I can finish it up tomorrow. I've got about, what, I think this went off twice. I got about 2 hours into it, maybe 2.5. So yeah, it's kind of a pain in the butt to do this, but when I'm done, it should look good. Alright guys, that's it for this one. I'll catch you guys on the next video, and we'll finish this up.